tuned in to the Cosmic Convos podcast, your number one source for accurate, relevant, and thought-provoking astrological conversations in the podcast nation. The place where stars and minds align.
Peace. You're now tuned into the Cosmic Convos podcast. I'm your humble host, Herut, and I got my good brother here, Brother Ra. How you doing?
You know, brother, just same old same. Keep my eyes to the sky and ears to the street. How about yourself?
Hey man, like I always say, man, I'm trying to get like you out here.
Hey man, you know, you just had a solar return, so you doing all right. You know, made it another time around the sun.
Indeed.
You got years on. I got years on. I'm trying to get back, brother. I'm trying to get something back.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm trying to get where you at, man, so I can, get that other Saturn return. Let's get there, man.
I hear you.
Indeed, but before we get too far, I want to remind you all that this episode is brought to you by Push It Forward Media Group, Calipurusha Astrology, and our Patreons out there on Patreon. Hey, thank you all for all your contributions, man. I mean, the questions that's asked and, all the different show suggestions, man, are great contributions to the show. So definitely big shout out to y'all. For everybody who don't know, if this is your first time listening to the show, you can follow us at Cosmic Convo on Instagram. And you can also find Push It Forward Media Group on Instagram as well at Push It Forward. That's PUSHITFWD. And you can find us on the web with the same spelling, pushitforward.com. And on there, you'll find the Cosmic Convos link. There you can get charts. We got a link until Brother Ra, gets the Calipurusha website up. Link to the email if you want a consultation to holler at him. Brother Ra, tell the people how they can get a hold of you and everything. To that point,
Facebook, IG, pretty standard. Check them around. That's the tag, and then Calipurusha Astrology is also the email. So those are the best ways right now.
Indeed. So, here we are, man. We're here at episode 7. Yeah, episode 7 of season 3 or whatnot. We the season's going by fast, man.
It is, man.
Indeed, but man, we had a real. Man, it was a good response, to the last episode that we had, man. People really, enjoyed that, the male side of the whole, horoscope, conversation and the planets and everything and what they signify, in a man's chart. It seemed like everybody really was, kind of feeling that, what was said about that. What's the feedback you've been getting?
Yeah, same. Even the ladies in the house.
Yeah,
they like tell it from the mountaintop. They definitely were in tune, along with ladies in the family as well. They asked me, how come I didn't do this one first? I said ladies first.
Yeah. Indeed, man. I think it's more room, for us to even cover that topic again in another capacity, because it's important topic. It
is.
Last week we didn't do any questions, so you want to go over some questions today?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, for all the people who don't know, the way that you get, your questions through is to sign up on Patreon, right? Subscribe, and then you can, post your questions in there, and we answer them on there or whatnot. So one of our Patreons has some interesting questions or whatnot. So the first one is wanted to know if we would ever do a show on astrology in the Bible.
Yeah, that actually is part of our programming for this season. So stay tuned. We're not going to tell you when,
Yeah.
but it will be a show that we will explore the connections and the undergirding foundations of astrology in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. People sleep on that, because I hear a lot of, Christians say, "Oh no, I don't mess with astrology, man. We're not supposed to do any of that."
We shall see.
Yep, indeed. All right. Other question we got is, and this was inspired from our show on the Aquarius age, the age of Aquarius. So go check that out if you hadn't checked that out yet. But the question is, how do we see astrology adapting to people who may be born in space, on the moon, or perhaps another planet like Mars?
If you were born in space, and the thing is that we have minds that kind of wrap our we watch Star Trek and stuff like that. We imagine at some point to acquire that kind of technology, but an individual that is born in space, the relationship between themselves. Well, see, it's hard to say because we haven't reached that level of technology.
Yeah.
Let's just say a few things, right? From the terrestrial side, when astronauts go into space, they actually have to build their muscle mass, right, back up when they come back to Earth. When they're in space, they have to constantly exercise, constantly. They have to stay in good, right? They cannot allow their muscles to atrophy.
Yeah.
So when they come back, they're actually taller, right? And their weight is different. So when they're back, the gravity reduces and shrinks or reorients them back to an Earth-like existence. So just knowing that alone, I would surmise that human beings wouldn't be able to be born in space. Just for the simple fact that the way the gravity works, the sperm can't swim in a fluid where there's no gravity.
Yeah.
Right? Gravity helps. The resistance helps for the seed to swim, for anything to swim, for anything to move. So we'd have to reach, first of all, a level of technology where we can control the gravity.
Yeah.
Then you would have to be in a solar system usually, right? I mean, if you're in deep space, it's hard to say. That's a very good question. But let's even pose it in a different way. Let's say you're on Mars. Now we have something to work with. Now we can actually go in and see, hey, from this perspective, we have these constellations. And they're going to have some of the similar constellations we have. They may have some that we don't have because of the perception, right, and how they see the skies. So they would see us, right? Earth would be a planet in their belt, right, or their solar radiations that they receive. Earth would be a planet just like Mars. It'd be blue, right, instead of red.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they would have just the same effect on Mars because those constellations set in a certain pattern. But of course, that's provided that that planet rotation, it has a certain pattern around the sun. All those things are just perfect for the planet Earth. But everything given the same, yes, they would have the same effects. They would have constellations. They would have all those things that would apply those energies down to that particular level of reality.
Okay. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that'd be a trip, but we gotta do it. We gotta see it
just
first.
to look out to see a blue, right? Where we see red, they see blue,
Yeah.
right? That would be a trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess we got to see it first, though. We got to see it happen first.
Gotta get there.
And get a thousand years of chart analysis of people born on that
Mapping the stars. Right now.
Indeed. We got one more question. Check this out real quick. So, next question is, in other solar systems, do you think that, with habitable planets, do you think that they have the same equivalent planets to the planets that we have in our solar system, in those solar systems?
Yes. Not in the same pattern, makeup, design, no. But there are some basic rules.
Yeah.
First of all, we know there's what's called the Goldilocks zone.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Goldilocks zone, we have a comfortable place where life can take place. Right? These are your solid, rocky, smaller planets. And I say typically because we don't know every single model that's out there. We're still just trying to find planets right now. FPV and all the different planets, right? But we do know that there's a model.
Yeah.
And there's a model that says there's an inner ring of planets that are habitable, comfortable, where water can exist, where the rotation axis of the planet can use a certain amount of sunlight. Those are things that we look for to find key signatures for life in the universe. So they also have outer planets, which are gaseous, larger planets that, just like our solar system, formulate where those larger bodies really are flung out to the outer regions, and they're the ones that really kind of guard or safeguard the planets on the inner ring. So yes, if we were on another planet in a solar system, remember, a solar system is just so our solar system calibrates our consciousness, right?
Yeah.
With the so-called 9 known planets and so forth, right? It calibrates who we are, calibrates our experience. It kind of sets the tone for our existence. In fact, the name Kalapurusha means cosmic man.
Yeah.
So if we were in another solar system, we would have the same rules. The inner planets would be nice and rocky, solid. They might have some super Earths, bigger, larger Earths, but they still have to be in that habitable zone. Now, depending on the star, if it's a blue star, the habitable zone might be further out.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a red star, the habitable zone might be closer in. It just depends. But there is a habitable zone. And those zones have to have planets that, number one, have solid mass.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have a rotation. They have to have liquid water, just like Earth. So the model is set. You just have to adjust it per that particular star's frequency. So once we know, hey, it's a yellow star, we can say, hey, there's a certain amount of planets, a certain place that we can look for. And if we were on that planet looking out, just like if we were on Mars, we would see the same patterns.
Yeah.
Right. We had two suns. Right. There would be something within that pattern that you would notice as above, so below. That that would literally link you to that solar system. Right? So, a solar system is just our way of saying it's a model for the cosmos to reduce itself into a finite existence called a being that can look back upon itself and realize what it is. That's why I call it Purusha. Because it's the cosmic, man. It's the ability for us to see God in us and God in time on earth.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, that's a, that's an interesting concept to just even ponder,
It is. But it would work.
Yeah.
Just the same.
Indeed. So yeah, I mean, personally, I look forward to being able to seeing. Well, I don't know. I mean, it depends on if they see us and they want to come holler at us and what kind of time they're on. But being able to actually, I mean, they've identified, a bunch of habitable planets out there. But being able to really okay, this is this, and these are the planets here, and just to really be able to have that information like that would be
there's
quite
a new
interesting.
telescope that's being this year or 2020 that can see a lot better as far as those planets are concerned. I can't remember the name. I think it's a James. I'm gonna say James Webb telescope. It's more powerful than Hubble.
Yeah. Well,
but they can actually see the planet, like literally measure all kind of different light patterns and different wavelengths that that stars and planets produce to be able to really see if it has life or the potential for life.
Well, it'd be a trip if they could actually see
right
the people on the planet, really zoom in and see them.
That's serious technology.
Indeed, man. When I said that, it made me remember the Outcast video back in the day. ATA, me and you, elevators. It was like it had that type of view on there, man. So that'd be deep. All right, cool, man. Indeed, man. So give it special shout out for those great questions, man. For sure, man. Keep them coming. Because they had a great dynamic to the show and stuff like that, man. Different things that we might not even be thinking about. So I definitely appreciate that, man. Shout out to the Patreons. All right, man. So we've been talking too much or whatnot, man. Let's go ahead and jump into today's subject or whatnot. So, this particular topic is an important one, right? We've seen a lot of our good people, good people in in entertainment and different things like that, fall victim to that. A lot of us have seen, our own family members, fall victim to, the addiction to different substances and different things like that. And, today we want to point out some key things, some key placements, and some key people's chart that most of us can identify with that kind of points to, that possibility of, someone being addicted to something or whatnot. And I mean, just the charts, I've looked at a whole bunch. Of course, Rod, he's been doing this for a grip. So, it's interesting to see, the consistencies, across the charts and stuff like that. So, let's go ahead and jump in and whatnot.
Indeed. So, today's show, we're going to look at astrology and the patterns of addiction and how we can really hone in and begin to look at some of those patterns. And this is not an exhaustive, right? This is not a class. This is just a conversation that we're going to use some charts to really outline, right, some of those principles. But let me say this, right? Not all the principles can be outlined because there's so many variables that different variables can produce the same pattern,
Yeah.
right? Or similar patterns. For example, when the ascendant board is debilitated, many times it is said that the person will be addicted to masturbation. Right? That's not always true, but it does hold a consistent pattern when other placements are supported. So, we can take that and begin to examine and see if that person is indeed going to have those propensities. It doesn't always do it because you can have cancellations. Those cancellations can sometimes change the way the script will come out. The person will do the opposite.
Yeah.
But there are just certain rules. For example, if the Lord is debilitated, a lot of times they say that the person will be addicted to masturbation. So that's just one, right? But we are going to touch on some things that kind of highlight what those patterns look like, what those houses are, where those planets are placed. Excuse me. So the first thing that we want to do is the moon,
Yeah.
right? And we did a wonderful show on the moon.
Yeah.
For
Go
you
check that out.
Just tuning in, check it out. Right, it's an awesome show. I've never heard of anyone explain it, but the moon is the fundamental point of the chart. Right, to just kind of give a rehash, the moon is the interface between the soul and the body.
Yeah.
And so the filter, if that filter is damaged or if that filter is altered in an unhealthy way, then a lot of times the mind is not able to create a strong barrier, right, between the onslaught of things with the challenges of life.
Yeah.
And so you have a strong mind. It just means that your mind is able to withstand variations. Change is usually what we call problems, right? It's just change.
Yeah.
And so a stable moon can withstand those changes, right? A challenged moon has a problem with being able to support themselves through challenge. Any type of challenge comes, that filter is weak. And so they literally find a way to try to stabilize that emotional kind of roller coaster that's internal. And you'll see in these charts over and over and over again that the moon is in some way challenged. Now, the other thing is that just because the moon is in one of these particular placements doesn't always yield a result that will create addiction. But you'll always notice that the person or individual will have an emotional storm to process through things, and emotions become addictive. Some people don't understand that hate can become addictive.
Yeah.
Right. Despair. Some people they're comfortable in despair.
Well, Hitler, his chart.
And it's a repetition. Right. The mind keeps repeating. Keeps repeating. And at some point, to come out of that depression or that low state of mind can be, no, I'm addicted to this. So, you have to understand that emotion, body itself, right, allows us to participate because the soul doesn't need those things. Right. The core of us is pure light.
So, for the people who may not know, how do we consider, what's a stable moon? What's an unstable moon? What are we looking for?
It depends.
Yeah.
There's just so many variables. A moon placed in Virgo, right, with that particular ruler of Mercury being damaged, the moon can be changed, right? It would be so. It would be. We'd be here forever.
Yeah.
Trying to find out what those particular placements are. I mean, the moon can appear one way, and in another set of charts, it's damaged, and so it literally only appears to be strong.
Yeah.
But let's just say this. The moon with the nodes, with malefics, or in the 12th house, usually can indicate addictions. Right? Those are placements that are challenging. Off cuff. Right? But there's other things that can support those placements. Again, this is a science that is about particulars, it's about specifics. We see general patterns, and you'll see those patterns today.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we want to be dead on specific. But the moon, those placements, or with those particular planets, will yield a mind that is challenged. Right? We're going to see those today. Just to give you an example, just a perfect example, right? Donald Trump. Right?
Yeah.
He has the moon conjunct K2 in Scorpio. So number one, his moon is debilitated. Right? And remember, we can even be addicted to power. So addictions don't just run in the substance world. They run everywhere.
Yeah.
Addicted to love, you can be addicted to anything. Most of us are addicted to something. So when you understand that, then you begin to unravel, okay, well, let me see what are the things that really trigger classic addiction, right? And the first place I go to, is to find out what's the condition of the person's mentality. Are they extreme? Do they have issues with processing their will or exacting their action? These are things that you can see from the moon. In the third moon, you can see those things. So let's take a look here and see if we can find some of those examples right off in the chart.
All right.
And we got here, let's see. Let's bring up Tiger Woods.
Want the Tiger?
Yeah.
All right.
So this is a case where there's not the classic underlying addiction pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there is a pattern that shows an unstable mind. And an unstable mind under duress can find many outlets to try to stabilize, try to kind of diffuse emotional pressure. And so the moon is in Scorpio.
Yep.
And so that moon being in Scorpio shows a very strong propensity for the individual's mentality to be emotionally extreme.
Yeah.
Now, within extreme, right, you have those danger zones. You're hot, you're cold, you're angry, you're in love, all the ups and downs, imbalances with emotions are found within Moon Scorpio. The other piece is with Venus. Now, the third house is a trichodiah house. It's a cruel house. However, of the Trisha Dyers or of the Cruel houses, it is a Upachaya house. All the Trisha Dyers.
Hmm.
And let me explain what those terms mean. So Upachaya is 3, 6, 10, or 11.
Yeah.
That means the house has a propensity over time to gradually increase its ability to produce positive results or to at least give reward. Right. The third house is a house that literally talks about someone's innate drive. It's almost considered like your lower mind,
Yeah.
or your, if you will, your intellect in some ways. And so the moon, Venus being there in the third house gives that individual some control. Some control. Because the third house is akin to the body part of the hands. And so effort, right?
Hmm.
The effort in trying to manage the mind, to control the addictions is there.
Yeah.
Not only that, Mars is the ninth, looking directly back at the moon, which does strengthen that propensity because the third house is strengthened.
Yeah.
So again, it's, to me, it's not a classic case because the sixth house, the eighth house is not damaged very, it's not challenged very much, and the 12th house is very strong.
Hmm.
So see, those houses, without those being lit, that third house means at some point you can handle the addiction. And it really is a form of addiction from sports, from exertion. You can see it's in the third house of sports.
Hmm.
Right? It's aspected by Mars. So, I mean, truthfully, this could be someone that is really just having an issue with opiate or being addicted to painkillers.
Mm.
Right. Drinking is there to some degree,
Yeah.
but it's really more opiates. Back pain is really obviously something that's there. When you look at Saturn in the 11th and in this aspect of the first house, yeah, that's back pain.
Mm.
Right. Mars aspecting the 12th. The man is in pain, right? And on top of that, the sun being aspected by Mars also can create some inflammatory issues.
Mm.
So, yeah, the man has had some issues from sports, but I wouldn't say he's an addictive personality type. I would say he has mental imbalances, which you try to assuage or soothe through something that would be maybe women, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the ability to gain control is there,
Yeah.
definitely.
Hmm.
So let's take a look at some real classics. Let's do a real classic here, one of my favorites, right?
Hmm.
Let's do Jimmy. Let's look at Jim, right? Jimi Hendrix, brilliant
Good old Jimmy.
artist, right?
Yeah.
And this is classic. This is a snapshot of what we call a chart that has multiple levels of dependencies or dependent attitude.
Yeah.
Right. The first thing we look at is the ascendant. And if we look at the ascendant, that ascendant is at 1 degree Sagittarius. That puts it right at the Gandanta zone. That's a pretty rough start to life.
In Mula.
Mula, right?
Yeah.
It was the Gandanta zone for Sag. And so that degree, it's that's hairline Scorpio. So that really puts that emphasis to go deep, right?
Yeah.
Mul, the Sanskrit or the word mul is root,
Yeah.
right? So mula type individuals are going to be individuals that feel and go deep. In fact, that is the point in which is very close to the center of the galaxy, right? About 5 degrees is the center of the galaxy.
Hmm.
So Mula represents that intense being pulled asunder, being pulled almost impossible, a hole, right?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the black hole of the galaxy is the Mula is. So being at that 1 degree, this person is an extremely intense, extremely uncontrollable type individual. Very sharp, very about what they can literally get in their way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's just the jump. Starting point. And look at the other houses. And then look at this. K2's in the third, which is the subworld of Mula, which did challenge his ability to have self-control or discipline, because third house is initiative and drive. Right?
Yeah.
That is challenged for him. The other thing is the moon. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And remember, we saw in Tiger that his moon is debilitated with Venus. Right? And moon and Venus in Gemini, is considered challenging yoga. And there was some says positive, says negative. There is a Avashta, Lajatati Avashta, that says when the moon is with Venus, it's thirsty. Right? And so that Avashta really shows that a lot of times these individuals can be all about themselves, have serious addictions. Pouring over to here, we got Jupiter, but it's in the 8th house.
Mm-hmm.
And that I mean, moon is at what degree?
5 degrees.
5 degrees.
7.
And Jupiter is at 1 degree.
Yep.
Right? Jupiter is his ascendant lord.
Yeah.
In the 8th house. Now, yeah, people say, oh, it's exalted. But it's retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that retrograde exaltation sometimes be a little much. Right. It's hard for a person to really come out of and really be the upright moral person that they want to be inside.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's almost like you feel so overwhelmed with spirituality, and you feel it's almost guilty, but to a point where the person doesn't really feel open about sharing because it's the 8th house.
Mm-hmm. So
very much inside, when you listen to his music, a lot of it was really deep.
Yeah.
The way he used the guitar is it literally taking to another level of consciousness. That's 8th house stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you use a musical instrument that literally is a new way. I mean, Jimmy, it was it. That was a whole new way of being able to use a guitar.
I mean, he seemed
going that deep like that.
Well,
really shows a profound way to come out with new and innovative perceptions, especially around what he does music. Now, I'll give you another example of the 8th house and how much power it has. So this is not someone that is considered addictive, but Maya Angelou had Jupiter. She had a Raja Yoga in the 8th. And Raja Yogas in the 8th house produce individuals that can overcome great odds.
Mm-hmm.
They can use the challenges of life, the unsavory things that we deal with in life, and turn them into beautiful, profound things, like the poetry of Maya Angelou, the stories that she would write, or even the music that Hendrix produced. I mean, literally, they call it acid rock.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all know what acid is. It changes your perception of consciousness.
Well, he seemed like he was, addicted to it being in that state. I mean, you look at all his cover art, everything around him was that lucid. You understand what I'm saying? It's like he wants to be there. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be there more than here in the present. You know what I mean? In that inner space.
Being in that sharp, edge, kind of just gritty energy.
Yeah.
That's how Jimmy was, But um, necessarily so for him to come up with some of the music that he produced. I mean, rock and roll was Hendrix.
Hmm.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Um, it took it to a whole nother level or to a whole nother depth. And that eighth house moon with Jupiter there gets a lot of it. I mean, think about Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, of being erudite. You don't see him as that, but when he picks up that guitar, I don't know too many people imitate to this day.
Yeah.
That's a guru. That's a master.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Without a doubt.
But to get to those states, that's where the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
When you see him playing, sometimes you can tell. He said he's in that state of being in another world, trying to bring what's in that world to our world.
Yeah.
And so, in the eighth house, literally, I consider the eighth house like the whole of our soul, the whole of our spirit, where we go in, and even though it might seem torrential, it might seem like everything around us is swirling, it's a safe place. Right? And we come out on the other side with something that is different, or we're different, or life is different. That's the moon in the eighth house.
Yeah.
And that
Jimmy, he used to, to that point, him playing, he used to like purposely like bruise his head and put acid in his headband. So while he's playing, you understand what I'm saying? He's getting that acid as well. So he had it laced in his headband. That's heavy business.
Wow, that's heavy. That's heavy. I mean, and the ascendant, the ascendant is the head as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the ascendant Lord, it's in the eighth house, right? Of those altered state of experience that take you to places that most of us don't know, right? Very unsavory, back in subconscious places where you come out, you can lose your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he went there. So if you put acid in your headband, serious, while you're playing.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
the other thing that's classic about this is the 12th house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every single Dasana house he has lit up. 6th house, 8th house, 12th. And Venus being in the 12th house is a dead giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's just an automatic. Here you go. Venus there is some type of addiction. And let me say this before we go any further. Venus in the 12th house or Venus in the 6th house can many times produce addictions. Mm-hmm. Just those planets being.
Yeah.
Venus in the 6th house can produce addictions to sweets.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Venus, and here, let's talk about the 12th house for just a second so people get a real good idea of it. So the 12th house is a strange house because it's actually visible in the sky. You think it would be hidden. You think it would be what the second house is. But the second house is the house that the 12th house is directly above the horizon due east.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so knowing that, it's a big house. So how could the 12th house, which represents that which is subconscious, be a house that's seen throughout the day? Kind of odd. But what it is that the planets, as they move throughout the sky, they move from the first house, which is the rising, and then they move to the 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, and then 7th.
Yeah.
So as they move through the 12th, if you understand how life works, the 12th house is considered almost like your infancy. And when you're an infant, this part right here, fontanel, is still open.
Yep.
So it's almost like you're in the womb, you're just physically on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so this interconnection between the mother and the child, whatever that child experiences during that envelope of time where you become conscious, is the 12th house. So if your mother was argumentative, she had abusive relationships, your spirit, because you have no conscious filter, you imbibe all of those hidden things and they register in the subconscious, which is the 12th house. So when those things activate from the old, and even almost to the point where you're like right out of the womb into the physical world, that's what the 12th house is. That's why the 12th house feels so comfortable to people. It's an escape. It's a way to go back to a comfort zone.
Mm.
And so you literally can leave this planet. It's where the astral body is right there meeting the physical body. And so you can tap into that and escape and travel through different worlds, do different things. But when you do it through drugs, you lose control. When you do it through meditation, you keep control.
Yeah.
And so the 12th house is also a house of meditation, right? Spiritual sciences, things like that. So, the 12th house is a house that literally allows us to change the physical, from the physical plane to the metaphysical plane, right? And doing so by whatever means we use, whether it be through drugs, through sex, through some people do it through media, right?
Mm.
A lot of times when Mercury's in the 12th house, in 12, the person will be addicted to movies, right? They constantly be watching television, or they may constantly be engaged in something like a book to keep out of the regular thought process of everyday life.
Mm.
So the 12th house is that house that literally takes us from this place to another.
Yeah.
And so Venus being there, Mercury being there, automatically puts that individual at a disposition where the pleasure centers, the thought processes are out of this world. Not to mention his Atma, which is the sun, is also in the 12th. Now, people say, well, like you said, sun and 12 doesn't do that so much. Well, if you look at what the sun rules in his chart, it's Rahu. And wherever the sun is, whatever the sun rules, whatever a planet rules, if there's a planet tenant in that house, that planet takes on those energies. So again, the sun has a direct connection with Rahu, right? The planet of toxins.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a classic chart. Shows, right? Addiction is running through record. Now, I like to look at little things to kind of show, is the dasha going to show when he checks out some connection to that particular pattern, or you bet your bottom dollar. Because when a person has a stellium, that those planets are going to run their dasha. So they're always going to have some affiliation when they run. So it's almost kind of hard to escape the pattern.
Yeah.
Or what we say, the pattern of addiction.
Yeah.
So when he checked out, he should have been in,
I think 1970, right?
He said 1970, yeah. In fact, it was September 18th, 1970.
Yeah. So that, actually, let me control it from here.
And I believe the dasha was Mercury.
Yeah, it's Mercury.
Yeah. And
Mercury, Rahu. Yeah, Mercury, Rahu.
There it is. Yes, Mercury rules the 7th and the 10th house. Yes, but it's in the 12th. And so that is a dead giveaway that at that time, at the time when he's going to literally be in the reverie of the 12th house.
And even specifically, Mercury, Rahu, Venus.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Again, right, those patterns show clearly that that's the time when those addictions, right? So
That's intense.
classic case. Let's take a look at we got John Bush.
Yes.
Let's take a look at John again, right? That 12th house is activated.
And we beating up on Sag today, man.
Oh man, it's rough.
Sag ascendants.
Sag is getting hammered.
Yeah.
Moon is the first place I look,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the 12th. You really don't need to. I mean, right there alone, it shows of addiction, addictive quality. The mind, and let me say this, like I said, it's not always the case. Because we even talked about Tupac.
Yeah.
With Moon in the 12th house.
Yep.
But I don't see Pac as an wild, unsettled, and unorthodox, but not addictive.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, we all have something we're addicted to in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But we usually can mitigate that. We can control it. We put it in his box. And it's under control.
Yeah.
But when the moon is in the 12th, it's hard to stand. It's hard to keep that control. Because the mind wants to constantly play. Mind does not want to pin down reality and master it. So nope, I'd rather be myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now the next I look at is the ascendant, obviously, and the ascendant. Well, he is Mula, but he's not 1 degree.
Yeah.
He's what, 7 degrees?
Yep. 7.
But look what's there. Now Jupiter there is strong. That's a strong ascendant. But for Sagittarius ascendant, Venus is one of the most challenging planets in that it rules the 6th and the 11th house, which are cool houses.
Mm-hmm.
Now Jupiter has a disposition to overdo it with pleasure. That's why Jupiter rules the 6th house. For Sagittarius, they usually have some type of issues with this particular kind of disposition.
Mm-hmm.
So Venus being in the ascendant one would hone into some of those tendencies. But the moon in the 12th reinforces what happens, meaning that the moon is not able to filter or block things that happen as far as to stabilize or control those emotions. So when Venus hits that ascendant and the ascendant board, it's going to create those addictions.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Venus is not a friendly planet, so that type of planet is going to create imbalances.
Yeah.
Dead giveaway. So, classic case. Right. Now, Saturn is in the 9th house in Leo. So, Sun still carries those propensities. It is with an exalted Mars, and Mars is fairly strong. It's almost exactly exaltation degree.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, at 22?
Yep.
Or 27?
22. Mars, 22. Yeah.
We got 6 degrees before, but that's still fairly strong. It still is a sign of exaltation.
Yeah.
And Mercury is there as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that Jimmy is, I'm not going to say he's a guru, but I would consider him a master of it. John Belushi, both Sages, John Belushi brought the humor.
Yeah.
Right. He was a comedian, and that Jupiter literally gave him that, use that jovial, lighthearted, funny energy to become successful.
Mm-hmm.
Actor, he started in movies. Blues Brothers,
Yeah.
Animal House,
Yeah. Animal House.
Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that Jupiter and the Ascendant was very
Yeah.
right, very powerful. And is Venus doesn't just do addictions. I mean, it also gives the ability to act,
Mm-hmm.
to produce inflection and tone, different characterizations. So that helped, right? It gave them some blessings, but there's always you got to get some. You got to in order to acquire those abilities, you have to have something that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
And those challenges automatically inherent in that particular position. Now let's look when he passed. Let's see the Dasha he passed in. He passed in March 5th. Look at the Dasha.
What year?
1982.
Oh, it's Venus.
Boom. Right.
Venus, Jupiter.
Man.
Hold on. What you said? March.
No. Yeah, March. It's Venus Rahu.
All right. So no, Venus, Rahu. Yeah.
Once again. Rahu's there. Playing his role. And not only that, he really does aspect the ascendant by degree. He does. Some people say Rahu doesn't create aspects. They say it's argument. I think it's aspects. I would say it does aspect. I've seen some of the effects over and over again. Rahu, whoever it aspects, it does create something different or unorthodox. So I would definitely say that Rahu aspecting that would have that touch to it. But you can clearly see that this is another chart, right, of a day. And he died from doing, can't remember the name of it. I want to say speedballing. But when they combine cocaine and heroin, right, that's what took him out.
Yeah.
And in fact, the guy that gave it to him was arrested for murder. And they dropped the charges to involuntary manslaughter. But yeah, you can clearly see that. And they say he tried to fight it off in 81.
Mm-hmm.
And you see he's in that Venus Rahu period, he still did. So, he probably did the best he could. Next thing you know, they said he was borrowing money to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, that moon, and here's the thing, moon in the 8th house may not even may not have that principle. There's a lot of moon in the 8th house that just don't. Look, it rules the 8th house. And I know people say, well, that's a repeat Raja Yoga. Because the moon doesn't hold the power to execute the repeat Raja Yoga. Or a cancellation of a negative placement into a positive. It doesn't hold the power. So that debilitation, literally, if that planet hadn't been debilitated, if it was another planet, then it would be a different ballgame. Because then it would actually be a repeat Raja Yoga, which a negative becomes a positive. But not for him.
Yeah.
And Saturn aspect, but no, it's not.
No.
So yeah, it's definitely a classic case of classic chart of addiction. Now let's look at Whitney. Whitney's a good one. All right, so she's kind of like Tiger to some degree. She still has some classic things, but she's not as rough as John or Jimmy. Different. But if you notice, the ascendant lord is where?
12.
There it is. Right. Now I know it's in Capricorn, but that's still not a very substantial placement for the ascendant lord. So number one, we have that 12th house propensity already activated. The moon, right, is in Ravati. It's in Pisces. Now, that to me doesn't hold addiction type personality. But let me say this: Pisces is still a sign that has 12th house propensity.
Well, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, not in all of them, but in a lot of these charts, there are key placements in Pisces, in a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pisces is a sign that takes you just like the 12th house on a very broad and very all-encompassing, right? Almost directionless.
Yeah.
But
Steep. I know. I mean, Pisces.
yeah, Pisces is no joke.
Yeah.
But Jupiter's there,
Mm-hmm.
and so it shows that she has some really moral upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps. Right? It helps. So she was fighting with it. I really see.
Mm-hmm.
Mars is opposite. Yeah, she was struggling with it. She wasn't comfortable with it. She didn't acquiesce, even though she had it. And we can see that Venus is in the 6th house, right? And so that really does produce a disposition for like imbalances with pleasure. Right now, the Sun is there, which would give some kind of indication that okay, well, can stave it off, but no, because the 6th Lord, right, is the planet that is actually with Jupiter. So there is some of those reduced qualities, those moral right moral compasses that she got in childhood. It was challenged to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So again, right, showing that Venus is there, the Sun is there in the 6th, and it's in opposition to Saturn, which is rough. But let's see what did she pass. I can't remember the 2000 and
She passed in. I think it was. It's in her moon dasha. Let me get. Yeah,
was
I
it
get just the exact date. I think it might have been 2014, but before it changed over. Let's see. I got you. No, 2012. So February 2012 is when she transitioned. Hold on, let me change it here. Yeah, Moon Venus Dasha. No, not quite yet. Moon K2.
yeah, there it is. That Dasha, and then ruled what? 6th house
6th house, yep.
of addiction. Right there. That's pretty classic. And then K2 is in
11th. And
it's in the ascendant. Oh, right there. Yeah, K2 is it?
what'd you say?
I'm sorry, no, it's in the
No,
11th.
no, it's in 11th house, yeah.
Yeah, it's 11th. And so yeah, Rahu still does aspect the ascendant. Right? So it still shows Rahu's in effect. And she checked out on the moon K2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With Saturn, I mean, Saturn giving the moon aspect.
Yep.
From there.
And Jupiter rules K with the moon.
Mm-hmm.
But something seems
It's a little fishy,
something
right?
strange about the way she.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem clear cut.
Yeah. I feel the same way about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just because it does rule the 6th house. It's in there with Jupiter in a second. And then when you look at it from the
Maybe we.
Jupiter is a trine from the moon. Jupiter's moon is trine from moon's trine from Jupiter. That just doesn't bode suicide or even by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Something just didn't seem right with her death. There's a few deaths that I'm kind of hesitant to really say. Yeah, one is Prince.
Yeah.
I'm just his chart. I don't even see hardly addiction qualities. That doesn't mean it's not there, but I don't see it starkly staring back. Not the type of person that want to escape from reality. Now he may not be a public person, but he's not the type that would escape. His chart doesn't bode that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Neither does hers.
Mm-hmm.
It shows addictions, but it doesn't show addictions to the point where it would take you out. And that moon is enemies. Moon rules enemies for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then K2's in the sixth from the K2's in the sixth from the sixth. Yeah, a little strange.
Yeah.
But she did have addictions. We know that.
Yeah. Indeed.
Right.
Indeed.
But for them to check her out, I don't know. Especially considering the way that her daughter died. And did you know what happened to the guy that was I guess near her when she passed?
He died too, right? Something happened to him. No. Yeah.
He was found. He died of a heroin overdose.
Yeah.
That's just too.
We might need
clinical.
to do a show on her.
Yeah,
A whole show
really do.
because that's
too clinical.
Yeah.
That's movie type stuff.
Yeah.
The person that knows about everything. Now he's dead. Yeah, right. And I didn't even know the guy was dead. Just maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That's how quiet was.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff like that is a little, Michael Jackson. I don't. That's murder, right? He has some addictions too, right? Because we could even look at. I mean, Mike's chart is classic. He got some classic addiction stuff. He got 8,000 little, but it's not to the point where it's gonna take you out. Not like John. Not like some of the other charts I looked at. Billie Holiday. She had a classic one. Who else? Amy Winehouse. They got some classic addictive charts. Like, yeah, you see it, but some of these just don't come off right off like that. Now, let's take a look at Robin Williams. Good one. Now, he's got some classic stuff that goes right out, right? First of all, his ascendant is Swati, which is ruled by Ra.
Well, I was about to say that about Whitney too, with Sata Bishop.
Yeah, she is shot to it is ruled by Rahu. Right. Yeah. Yep, you're right. That's absolutely true. So Rahu can definitely Rahu is the 100 Shak is the 100 healer. Right. Which deals in healing herbs, medicine. I'm not saying she was into that, but I'm saying the theme and the epithet of it still has something to do with healing, which the opposite is obviously intoxicating. And Rahu is the planet of toxins. But Swati is also ruled by Rahu. And his ascendant lord is conjunct K2. That's classic. Because K2 likes to make you headless and zombie-like. Right? Where you have no mind. Right? A good movie to watch, old movie to watch. I really want to understand K2. K2 and how the powers that it possesses.
Mm-hmm.
Watch Serpent and Rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's classic K2. That's not Rahu.
Mm-hmm.
K2. Right. Soul possession.
Mm-hmm.
And they were using what? Intoxicants,
Yep.
right, to create that catatonic state. So again, K2 is no joke.
Yeah.
And so being conjunct with the ascendant Lord, a lot of times headless, directionless,
Mm-hmm.
funny, right? And K2 can be that he can play the fool,
Mm-hmm.
which he did very well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what K2 can do. Because, the fool he's everywhere. He says whatever comes to mind. He has no scruples. He's, throws caution to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's Robin Williams. Okay. But look, here's some other things. That kind of, moon in opposition to Venus can create addictions.
Yeah.
Just like when it's conjunct Venus, it can also, in opposition, can create addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And look what's with
Rahu and Satapicha.
Rahu.
Both.
And where is Rahu's Lord?
And 12.
In the 12. Classic addiction. Right. But the moon being with Rahu creates that need for all sense of reality. And then K2 conjunct Venus just literally takes him to the point where he'll go off the edge to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is just, you can't get a better case than this. Not only that, Mars aspects, right? Saturn. Therefore, and Mars rules the second and seventh house, which is not a very helpful planet for Libra ascendants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it creates some of that agitation, frustration, the feeling of not being able to get things accomplished, or the feeling of being denied, cut off. And so that placement also shows that. So this is another planet. Now, what did he
When did Robin Williams die? I got you. Robin Williams, he transitioned August 11, 2014.
see what the dash is?
K2.
K2?
Yep.
There it is. I mean, this stuff is classic.
K2
I mean,
Saturn.
we're just picking there's people that deal with this in life. It's crazy.
That's and we've said this before, but it's rare just on this show that we've even gone real heavy into transits. Was transiting at the time when when something happens.
Oh, I got some trends.
Yeah.
I got him.
Yeah, but what I'm pointing out, just the power of this particular branch of
Dasha.
astrology, the Dasha system, being able to just
Oh yeah. Yeah, we haven't touched on the transit. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The just imagine if you didn't have transits and you had just Dasha, you would be still fairly well to deal with the proximity of time.
You'd be in the forest. You'd be in the right section of
right
the woods.
Right there.
It's deep.
Yeah. So transits even lock it in even more.
Yeah.
Because at the time John Belushi died, he had K2 in the ascendant within 5 degrees of the ascendant Lord. I mean, yeah, he was going through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they always do. But Robin Williams has a very classic case of the type of addictive setup. Right? Moon in opposition, and then being in line, Rahu and K2, and Lord being part of that combination, and then Rahu, Moon's Lord, being in the 12th. Yeah, definitely. And then checking out right in the K2 period. Of course, obviously, K2 is that period. And I tell a lot of it's when K2 periods roll around, get spiritual. Right? Find God. Because that's the only thing that's going to matter anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, we really need to have a t-shirt, and they are coming in some. On the front end, I survived Rahu. And on the back end, I survived K2. Because K2 is 7 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, definitely interesting. One thing I noticed about the pattern, and this is something that is pretty consistent on the transits when I did look at them, K2 was conjunct with Rahu in transit. Quite a few of them had that challenge. So, again, right, those guys definitely play a major role, but the dashas are the underlying kind of what the perception is of reality because it's based on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I mean, these are great charts that we're using here because this is just over and over and over. These are the patterns that are inside people's spirits. Let's look at Robert Downey. And he actually overcame all the
Yeah.
He's successful now and got himself together. But for a while there, he's definitely played some movies that were pretty rough. I think it was one called, I want to say Down Under or something.
You talking Tropical
Less
Thunder?
Than Zero.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, he played someone addicted to drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in fact, died in that movie from an overdose. So, a long time, you know, he was out and going back and forth with it. But let's look and see if he has a classic type of addictive disposition. And so the Ascended Lord or Ascended Cancer is an oscillation. Means he can hold on to things. Ascended Lord's in the 10th, which is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So that can give him some staying power. Definitely. Let's see. The 6th Lord is with Rahu. That can do it. Right. That does do it. Yeah. 6th Lord is with Rahu. That 6th Lord it deals with the ability to handle stress, to deal with daily chores and kind of monotonous aspect of life. And this type of person can get bored, right? They can find themselves not wanting to deal with the day-to-day, not wanting to deal with average process of life.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say escape, but to say, I want something more. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, right? And so it can be greed. It can be not having enough. It can be going beyond what you should have. And so that it exacerbates and Taurus.
Mm-hmm. In the 11th.
In the 11th, yeah. So, but look, he's got it under control.
Yeah.
Right. So this wouldn't be a classic case. This would be one of those that is an example to show how addiction can be overcome. That placements in certain placements can literally give you the strength, right, to fight off addictions.
Well, he has that
Mercury, and Sun aspected by Mars, and that debilitation is canceled.
And that Parvatana between 9th and 11th.
Yep. So very strong chart. He's designed to overcome that. And what's the dasha?
Right now he's in his Jupiter dasha.
Right. And prior to was Rahu.
Yep.
And I bet you during that Rahu, when did Rahu start for?
'89.
Yep. Perfect. I mean, Dasha's just true. Right. 80s, 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he's on Jupiter now. He cleaned himself up. And I'm telling you, those Jupiter Dodgers, y'all, and you got one coming, my friend. They're a beautiful thing. Enjoy. The Jupiter Dodgers change things. They really make you do that. If Jupiter is played, and it is.
Yeah. I wonder.
You know, it's with Rahu. It has that power change, and it rules the night house. So, yeah, definitely powerful.
Yeah, and he
Uh,
let's see what year. Okay, so they say they're tracking about 2003 is when he got sober.
mm-hmm. He was still, well,
He was still in that at the end of the Rahu period.
Yep. When was the Rahu period?
Say that again.
When was it over?
It was over in 2007.
And
He in 2003 is where they're saying he's, pretty much been sober since 2003.
Yeah, Rahu's son.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Rahu's son.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Rahu Venus, the sun is a year. So that year going forward next year is still the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Because if you look at it, Jupiter, the exchange is with Venus.
Yeah.
So sun is with Venus. So she takes that power. Or the planet, so the way it works is the planets that are next to each other take the other planet's power. So in their dasha, they give the other planets power. So if Venus is exalted and he runs the sun dasha, or sun duty, he's going to have some of those powers.
Yeah.
Even though he's in a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's clear. So yeah, he doesn't really technically have a quote unquote classic addiction, but it's like I said, a good example to show that definitely can come out of those addictions.
Indeed.
When you have the spiritual strength.
Yeah. Indeed. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you see how many charts I got up? We can hammer these off all night, and they all got, very similar patterns and stuff like that. So,
they do. So, that's how we look at it. That's how we see it. And we haven't done any, I did look at the D8s and D6s, but we don't need to do that.
Yeah.
The D1 is clearly showing those patterns.
Indeed. So, yeah, man. With that being said, we resliced that up, man. And I think, this would be a good show to look at and see if you see some of those things to your chart, and you see certain patterns and stuff like that. You could be mindful of it. Catch you, like, oh, I could go there.
Watch the dashes.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. So, as always, this episode was brought to you by Push It Forward Media Group, Caliprucia Astrology, and our good people over there on Patreon. Big shout out to y'all once more again. Definitely make sure that you like, subscribe, to the channel and stuff like that. Follow us on Instagram. Share this with your friends, your family, your co-workers, and stuff like that. We're always expanding platforms and stuff like that. So we're pretty much everywhere that you can listen to a podcast or watch a podcast. We're there. So definitely go show some support that way and help us, take this thing to the next level. All right. Brother Rod, you got anything else you want to impart on people? Anything you want to leave the people with?
No, not really. That's pretty much.
All right, good deal. So, I want to thank you all for tuning in. And, we will be back next week, same time, same place, with another great episode for you. All right. So we're out. Peace.
Peace.